Hi, I'm Ksenia and I'm on a mission to fix constipation and bloating for everyone. Now, there are hundreds of constipation remedies online. Some work, some are a total waste of money, and some can actually make the problem worse. Today, I'm ranking the 7 best ones that are actually worth your time, from symptomatic short-term relief to long-term systemic fixes. Because if you're taking fiber supplements and it's making you more constipated, then that's the wrong kind of remedy for your type of constipation. Let's get into it. So the first method is to fix your electrolyte balances. So hydration, electrolyte sounds really basic, but most people just do it wrong. Yes, dehydration causes hard stools. Everybody knows that. Your colon absorbs water from your stool. So if your body is dehydrated, it pulls even more water, giving you constipated hard stools. But here's what nobody tells you. Just drinking more water doesn't mean your cellular hydration necessarily increases. For intracellular hydration, you need electrolytes. Without adequate sodium, potassium, and magnesium, water just passes through your kidneys and out the back door without actually hydrating your organs. So to get cellular hydration, you need to add electrolytes to your water. Now, that doesn't have to be a complicated supplement. It can just be a pinch of high-quality sea salt in your morning warm water. If you want to really get fancy, get some trace mineral drops and add them to your water, but please don't get those flavored artificially sweet electrolyte packets. Those do more harm than good. So the perfect little hydration cocktail in the morning is some coconut water with a squeeze of lime and a pinch of Redmond's or Celtic sea salt. And do this before you have coffee. And please don't chug water with food because water dilutes your stomach acid and actually makes your digestion worse. Hydrate between meals. So if you're one of the people whose constipation is dry, hard pellets, like rabbit-like poop, then this is the perfect step for you to start at. Now, method number 2 is magnesium, but the right kind. Magnesium is the single most effective over-the-counter constipation tool. So if you're very constipated, magnesium citrate is a great tool. It's an osmotic laxative, which means it pulls water to the colon. The way I would do it is to take between 300 and 900 milligrams in the evening before you go to sleep to provoke a bowel movement in the morning. So start low and titrate up if you need to. Now, if you're extremely constipated and you get to the maximum dosage of magnesium citrate and it still doesn't work, then I would move on to magnesium oxide, starting at 400 milligrams and working my way up to 800 milligrams if need be. But this isn't a long solution. It's an osmotic laxative, so it's non-habit forming, not as bad as a prescription laxative, but it doesn't resolve the reason for your constipation. It's just a band-aid for the problem. Another great one to add in is magnesium glycinate, even if you are taking citrate and oxide, because glycinate is better absorbed and it's a foundational tool that works on helping your muscles and your mind relax while you sleep. And when I say muscles relax, that includes your colon. I would take 300 to 400 milligrams in the evening before bed. So most women are depleted in magnesium anyways because stress burns through our magnesium reserves. I would recommend that it's a foundational supplement that everybody takes long-term anyways, glycinate. Now, method number 3 is more long-term. Stop slowing down your migrating motor complex. So your migrating motor complex, it's a wave-like muscle contraction that goes throughout your intestines, so your small and your colon. It gets activated between meals. So it takes about 3 to 4 hours for it to get activated when you're kind of fasted and most of your food has been digested, where the muscles contract and clear up all the leftover debris that hasn't moved forward. And that helps clean up the system. But if you're snacking all the time and eating every 2 to 3 hours, the MMC doesn't have time to turn on, and that leaves all these little bits behind that our bacteria ferment on, and that creates gases in our system, creates bloating and farts, and also creates a dysbiotic environment for the bad bacteria to overgrow. So that means 3 meals per day, 4 to 5 hours apart, without snacking in between. The other thing you can do to stimulate and rebuild your MMC is to take a prokinetic. Now, a very easy, accessible one is ginger. To be able to have enough ginger for it to have a prokinetic effect, you would have to sip sip on a concentrated ginger juice or take several ginger shots throughout the day, but you can just take capsules of powdered ginger. Or you can take a supplement like Motel Pro or Motility Activator by Integrative Therapeutics or Iberogast, which are a mix of ginger and other herbs that help stimulate the MMC. So this is a great recommendation for people who suspect or have SIBO, whose bloating gets worse throughout the day, and for people who generally tend to feel better when they skip meals. So method number 4 is bile and liver support. So nobody talks about this because it's quite upstream, but bile is one of the primary signals for your motility to get activated in your colon. And your liver produces bile to emulsify the fats from your diet, but also to stimulate peristalsis, which is the motility. So if your bile is thick, sluggish, or insufficient, that doesn't create peristalsis, so it doesn't move your colon, so it creates constipation. So signs you have some issues with your bile flow can be if you feel very heavy and bloated after fatty meals, you have a hard time digesting fattier meals. If your stools really stick to the bowl of the toilet, so if you need, to clean a lot after you have a bowel movement, it doesn't flush through easily, and if you need to wipe a lot after a bowel movement, these are all signs that you have too much fat in your stool. Or if you feel nauseous after you eat fatty foods, if you've had your gallbladder removed, or for example, if your vitamin D keeps being low on your blood panels even though you're supplementing with it, so you can't get your vitamin D to go up. Or if you have some hormonal imbalances. So if you know that you're estrogen dominant, that often can stem from having a bile issue. So there are several ways you can support your bile production. Eat bitter foods daily. Our Western diet is generally really devoid of bitter tasting foods because we preferenced sweeter, more palatable food. So that's arugula, dandelion greens, artichoke, anything that just tastes bitter. You can also just use some digestive bitter sprays before your meals. That's often easier for people than constantly having to include bitter foods. Eat an adequate amount of healthy fats at every meal. Your gallbladder needs fat in the diet to get stimulated to contract and excrete bile. So low-fat diets often worsen bile production over time. Olive oil, avocado, nuts, grass-fed butter. You can also supplement with TUDCA or ox bile, about 125 to 250 milligrams depending on your needs. If you've had your gallbladder removed, you have to supplement with ox bile for life. This is also a great tool to rebuild your bile production if you've been on a low-fat diet for many years. Supplementing with taurine like 500 to 1,000 milligrams per day. It's an amino acid that conjugates bile salts and supports bile flow and liver health. And also you can do castor oil packs over the liver, either for an hour or two in the evening, or I just like to do them overnight. It stimulates lymphatic drainage and bile movement. There's a lot of resources online you can find to understand how to do a castor oil pack. Now, method number 5 is vagus nerve stimulation. This is a long-term play, but your vagus nerve is the master controller of your motility. And when we have low vagal tone, which is really common with women who have been chronically stressed, traumatized, or are in a constant state of survival, they often get low vagal tone, which leads to constipation. And you can stimulate your vagal tone with really easy daily practices. So a few examples of that is splashing cold water on your face or doing like face ice bath in the morning. This triggers the dive reflex, which activates your vagus nerve. You can also gargle or hum or sing, anything that creates a good amount of vibration in the back of your throat. Try to incorporate that into your daily practice. It also activates your inner child, like singing and humming while you're cooking or folding laundry, brings a little bit of joy into your life. Doing some breathing before each meal just to set yourself into a parasympathetic and rest and digest state. So just doing 3 deep breaths, it doesn't have to be complicated. Some gentle movement after you eat. So ideally you would do a 10 to 15 minute post-meal walk. But if you're just going straight into a meeting, you can also just do some calf raises under the desk. So just like raising your feet through with your calves, that actually moves the glycogen through your body as well and activates that digestive period. And the last one is putting your legs up the wall for 5 to 10 minutes before bed. This is super easy and you can just have that as part of your wind down, but it activates your parasympathetic parasympathetic system and puts you into a state of relaxation overnight. This sounds too simple to work, but the compounding effect over 7 to 10 days can be quite impressive. So this is great for people who are under high stress and notice that their constipation or digestion gets triggered by stressful situations. So method number 6 is fiber, but done right. So this is the most common constipation advice, and it's not for everyone, because for people with certain digestive dysfunctions, fiber can make things worse rather than better. So if you notice that you're not able to digest fiber, you get really bloated, it doesn't work for you, that could be due to several things, including SIBO, but it can also be an underpopulation of the bacteria that are able to digest that fiber in your colon. So one method to find out if you're not ready to do functional testing, to find out if fiber is right for you, is being really methodical about incorporating it and increasing it. So the way I would do it is to use a really neutral fiber like PHGG, partially hydrolyzed guar gum, that you increase very slowly. So you get it as a powder, and I would add literally like 1/8 of the scoop that they give you in the packet in water every day in the morning. But I would do that at that level for like a week and then increase a little bit and see if you can tolerate it. Because if you're able to tolerate it at an increasing rate like that, it could be the fact that you just don't have enough of a population of good bacteria in your colon, and the PHGG will allow for them to rebuild. But if you can't tolerate even that, then probably you have a bacterial overgrowth higher in your small intestine, and you need to address that first before you can introduce any fiber. And whenever you're incorporating fiber, the most important thing to remember is to drink a lot of water, because fiber sucks up water, and if you don't have adequate water in parallel to the fiber, no matter who you are, no matter what, it will make you worse. And last but not least, method number 7 is to investigate your root cause. This isn't one you can kind of apply and DIY yourself. You would need functional lab testing for this, like a GI map, to see what it is that is causing your chronic constipation that these other tools haven't been able to help you with. Is it a bacterial infection? Is it a fungal overgrowth? Is it a parasite? Is it an underpopulation of good bacteria? So that you can create an individualized plan for your specific dysfunction to see how you can rebuild your motility and your ability to eliminate toxins and waste. So that's the full ranking that I love to also use with my clients. First and foremost is always electrolytes and hydration. Second one is magnesium. Third one is repairing your migrating motor complex. Of course, supporting your liver and bile flow, vagus nerve stimulation and activation, fiber, and then my favorite, individual lab work to figure out what is going on in your gut. So work your way down that list. If something works, great, that for you. And if not, just move on to the next one. And if you get to number 7 and you still haven't figured it out, you're still constipated and you're ready to run some functional labs, feel free to book a free discovery call with me. I'm dropping the link in the description below. And if not, stay tuned for my next episode where we're going to be diving further into the different root causes of constipation. I'll see you in the next one.